Okay, so good morning, yogis. Beginning into Tadasana for a sequence intended to help support, strengthen, and loosen our low back. So you can stand on a towel if you want, or a blanket, or even on a rug. And we're going to do these toe scrunches. So maybe, ground your feet, spread your toes wide, and then starting one foot at a time, curl the toes under and kind of grip them together. And as I said, if you had a towel or a blanket, you'd be kind of bunching it up. So that might feel nice, but you don't need to have that necessarily. And just scrunch your toes, squeezing them in as hard as you can, just to awaken the feet and have a nicer connection to the earth. And also maybe notice how this feels if you have a tender low back. Notice how this translates up to the next joints, all the way up to the hip, to the low back, and just notice how this feels. Good. And one more time each side. Good. And then pause. Maybe, again, lift the toes, spread them wide, lower them down. Even if you want to lower them down one at a time, pinky toe, ring toe, middle toe, second toe, big toe. And then you can even roll them up again and just, get a little, more control of the toes, building neural pathways in the brain so that we can, have more control of the toes and have them move independently. All right, and then ground all the toes, and you've got a nice stable base. We'll put the weight into our left foot, and we'll get light on the right foot. So come onto the top of your toe, and start with little circles. So pivot around the toes. So you kind of can even mush them around, making circles with your toes, and then start to develop the circles so that it goes into the top of the foot, and then the ankle, and then maybe the knee, and the inner outer thigh, the thigh, the hip. So just making circles. And they started small and they got bigger. Do the same thing in the other direction, and maybe start again at the foot, at the base, and see if you can get some control of each aspect of the leg. Each, kind of segment, each joint. You don't have to pick the foot up, but you can if you want. And then lower the foot down. And you might notice how that might have created a little freedom in the low back. And so on the other side, so ground the right foot, get soft on the left, and just start with circling the toes. And then the foot, and the ankle, and the thigh, and the hip. Good. And then we can go in the other direction. So just again, starting tiny, isolating, adding the next part of your leg on, the next joint on. Again, you can, when you get to the hip, you can keep the foot off or keep it on for a little, a little support. And then pause and notice how that felt. Okay. So now we'll go back to the left leg, so standing on your left leg. Pick up the right leg and just extend, bend the knee, and then just extend the lower leg. So bend and extend. Bend and extend. You can keep your hands on your hips or hands on a wall or support if you need. And then see if you can kind of kick, add a little more vigor to that extension. So you're kicking, releasing any tension in the low back. So notice how that might feel. Keep your core engaged to stabilize this movement. And then if you want, you can start the kicks out to the side at a diagonal, or out on the diagonal, then out to the side. We're working the outer hip, the abductors, then back behind you. Again, maybe you have to shift the position of your hands for a little bit of counterbalance. Good. And then you can come back the same way you went into it. Stopping, tapping your foot down for support anytime you need. Good. One more time around. Coming back. And then plant the foot. And notice how that felt. I'll take off my little extra layer here now. All right. Now we'll go to the other side. So the right foot grounds. Nice connection to the earth, and spreading the toes so you have a nice stable base. Hands on hips or on support, on a support, and then start the extension. Just extending, flexing the knee. And then if you like, add a little vigor without losing your balance. So keep your core, again, engaged to stabilize you. And then start to go out at an angle, out to the side, back at an angle, back behind you. And then come back out the same, come back the same way you went out. The back angle, the side, in a 45 angle or diagonal, then forward. And let's try that one more time, back around, at an angle, a diagonal, out to the side. Oops, back at a diagonal, back behind you. And come back in. Oops, sorry, I missed that back angle. Then out to the side. And then forward at a diagonal. And then forward. And then lower the foot and notice. And notice the standing leg, noticing how you're feeling. All right. So let's get the whole body into it. But before we do, let's do some standing cat-cows just to get some movement in the spine and our pelvic region. So let your hands glide down your knees. Shift your weight towards your heels. You can even brace your hands on your knees. Inhale here, lift the tailbone, kind of, arch the spine, lift your heart and gaze. On an exhale, tuck your tailbone around your spine, really draw the navel in, maybe drop your chin to your chest. And go back and forth like that into your seated cat-cow or your standing cat-cow. A lot of it is seated because we're kind of in our awkward chair pose. Oh, good. Couple more rounds. Inhaling in the extension and exhaling, rounding in reflection. And one more time. And exhale, round, and let's roll up. So press the earth with your strong legs, rounding, rolling up back to standing. Good. All right. So now we'll start with some warm-ups. So first, send your arms all the way out to the sides, up to the sky. So wide to the side. Urdhva Hastasana, your extended mountain. You can get long here, or you can add a little extension if you like. But keep your belly toned, pressing hips forward. Good. And then exhale here, squatting down into your Utkatasana. So shift your weight back towards your heels, lower your arms at a 45-degree angle, and draw your tailbone down a little bit so you don't go into too much of an excessive arch here. So the tailbone, so you notice the difference? It's like, I could do this, but I want it to be a little bit more like this. More like a natural lumbar curve, and feel that your core is engaged to support the low back. And then use your strong legs to rise you all the way up. Good. And wide to the side with your arms. Draw your palms toward each other. Come into your yoga mudra, that little fist that you make. Draw elbows, triceps, shoulder blades together as you squat down into your Utkatasana. Again, tailbone drawing down to avoid excessive arching in your low back. And then hinge forward until your belly's on your thighs. When your belly's there, bring your legs towards straight or lift the fist off the back, drop the head, and breathe here. Good. And then bend your knees, lift your chest, sweep your fingers towards the earth, lift them up again, and they're back into our Utkatasana. Bend your elbows and squeeze shoulder blades together, Devyasana arms, drawing tailbone down. Don't forget, I know I have that, superpower of really super arching my back, so I have to, intentionally draw my low ribs in and my tailbone down and sink a little deeper. So notice if you have that tendency too. And then with your strong legs, rise all the way up to standing, Urdhva Hastasana, and then arms by your side, Samastiti. All right, let's do that whole sequence a couple more times. So big inhale, getting long. Yeah, maybe extending. Exhale, squatting forward, Utkatasana. Good, nice work. Strong legs rise all the way up, Urdhva Arms by your side, Yoga Mudra, opposite interlace. Good. Squeezing shoulder blades together, squatting down, Utkatasana, with your Yoga Mudra arms. And then spill forward so your belly's on your thighs, straighten your legs, lift the fist off the back. Bend your knees, lift your heart, sweep your fingers towards the earth, send your arms forward, Utkatasana once again. You draw tailbone down, engage belly, bend elbows, Devyasana arms. Good. Back through your Utkatasana, strong legs rise you up, arms by your side, Samastiti. Good. Let's try that one more time. Extend your arms wide to the side, sun breath, get long, maybe extend. Exhale, squatting down, Utkatasana. Shift all the way down. Maybe go a little deeper. Strong legs rise you up, arms go wide to the side, turn palms together, Yoga Mudra. Squeeze shoulder blades together, even if you have to soften your elbows. Tone your belly, draw your tailbone down as you squat down into Utkatasana. Spill forward, belly on thighs, straighten legs, lift fist off the back. Bend the knees, release the hands towards the earth, lift your arms, Utkatasana again. Drawing tailbone down. I know I need constant reminders. Bend the elbows, Devyasana arms. Back through Utkatasana, strong legs rise us up. Arms wide to the side, Samastiti. Good, okay. Now let's bring our hands onto our hips and step or hop out into a wide-legged stance. We'll go into our Warrior Two section. So Warrior Two, yeah. And you'll externally rotate that right leg so that thigh rolls all the way out. Hands could float even down to hip creases. So not high at the waist, like right here where you bend, because we're gonna focus on this area where we bend, right in our pelvic sacral region. So this thigh rolls out, this leg is straight, our legs are nice and stable, the belly's toned, we've got a neutral pelvis, even if you have to, kind of play with that. Tilt it forward, tilt it back, find that neutral place where the tailbone's drawing down, low ribs and navel kind of draw toward each other, or pubic bone and navel draw toward each other. All right, hands on the hip creases. Slide the right hip under as you glide your torso over that right leg, like you're going into triangle pose, and then come back up. Then bend the knee, like you're in your Warrior Two, knee drawing towards pinky toe, side of foot, and then glide forward like you're going to go into your side angle. And let's go back and forth like that. Straighten and glide, hands free, Trikonasana. Rise up, bend the knee, glide forward, hands free, Parsvakonasana. And go back and forth like that. You can move your hands if they're in the way. Good. Feel your nice strong core, your nice stable legs. You're rotating your torso to the side, and you have this external rotation in one hip, half of the pelvis, and then the kind of neutral Tadasana leg in the other, or slightly internally rotated. So one more time, noticing how this feels. Only going as far as you're able to support it with your core strength. Good. And now this next time, we're going to liberate our arms. So you can do it now, or you can do it when you get into the posture, up to you. And then tuck the right hip under, glide the torso forward, and then find your Utthita Trikonasana. Good. Now tone your belly, spin your torso open, and engage the core. Again, draw the low ribs in, tailbone drawing down towards the heel. So feel it's a nice stable base there. You can stay here, or you can even extend your arms if you want a little more core work, but just make sure it's not straining the low back. Even if you have to lift up, if you like to do it, you might lift out of it a little bit, not go as deep, and spin your torso to the left side of your mat. And then with your strong core, rise up, lower your arms to shoulder height, palms could be down. Make sure the knee is over the ankle, drawing towards pinky toe side of foot, side angle. So it could be that your hand or your forearm are on your thigh, the hand could float, other arm to sky. Again, drawing the tailbone down towards the left heel, so you're nice and stable with that back leg, neutral, low back, and stay here or challenge a little bit by extending the arms. And then rise up. Keep your arms extended if you can. If they weren't before, maybe you can now. Tone your belly, stay in your warrior legs, and reverse your warrior with both arms extended. So the legs are nice and stable. We lift our heart and gaze and reach back, maybe extending through the arms a little bit more. And only go as far back as feels comfortable for you. Take one more breath. Nice work. Then rise up to neutral. Release your arms, draw them onto your hips or hip creases. Pivot your feet to neutral. Good job. We'll take a forward fold in a Prasarita before we go to the other side. So let's keep our hands on our hip creases. Make sure the feet are facing forward or slightly turned in. Ground through the outside edges of your feet. Tone the belly. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Get long. If you'd like to take a little tiny bit of an extension here before you go forward, you can by lifting your heart and gaze. Leaning back, you're gonna get a nice stretch in your thoracic spine. And then exhale, come forward. Let's all hinge forward until our torso is in line with our hips. Adjust your feet if you need to, tone the belly, and draw the crown of the head away from your hips. Even squeeze shoulder blades together. So you're leading into the fold with your heart. Belly's toned, rise back up. You can take another back bend if you like. And then this next exhale, we're going to go forward again, staying here where your torso is parallel to your hips, or go all the way down. Use your hands to lift your hips to the sky, squeezing shoulder blades together. Take another breath or two, shifting the weight towards the balls of the feet, squeezing shoulder blades together, folding yourself in half. One more breath. And then stay in your fold, but release your hands to the earth. Get your blocks if you prefer to have your hands on blocks. And then turn your feet so that your heels come in and your toes go out. We're going to go into a Devyasana stance. So your hands are on your blocks or the earth. You'll bend the knees and squat down. Adjust the position of your feet and knee and legs so that you can keep the knees pointing in the direction of the toes and feel comfortable. Maybe even getting your hips in line with your knees. And then straighten your legs. You can pivot your feet. We're going to go between these two movements. So again, you may want to pivot your heels a little bit back and forth, or you may be able to keep them straight. So you see, I pivot my feet a little bit. As I squat down, I bring my heels in, lift my heart. And then as I stand up, I kind of bring my heels more to neutral and then fold forward. So if that's okay for you, do that. Or maybe you find a compromised position that you can keep your feet stable and go back and forth. So a couple more times. Good. And last time, squatting down into what's also called your horse stance. Then we're going to roll up. So keep your legs where they are. You're in your happy Devyasana. Draw the tailbone down. Roll up, roll up, roll up to standing. Here we are. Send your arms wide to the side. Let's do this a few times. So rise up, straightening your legs. Arms overhead. Exhale, bend elbows and knees and squat down into your traditional Devyasana. You could do that a few times, extending and then squatting. Making sure your knees are pointing in the direction of your toes. You're drawing your forearms away so you're broad across your chest. Last time, squatting down and hold here. Good. Let your hands just gently rest on the side of your head and then bring your right elbow towards your right knee. And then come back up to center and your left elbow toward your left knee. And back to center and go back and forth like that. And one more time. Good. Now this next time that we go to the right, we're going to hinge forward, even maybe rounding the spine or keeping it flat and folding over the earth, and then to the left and then up, and then to the left and fold forward, and to the right and then up, and go back and forth like that a few times. And to the left and forward and right and up and to the right and forward and left and up. Last time, go around, left and forward and right and up. Release your arms, stay in your Devyasana for another breath or two. Good job. And then with your strong legs, rise up to standing. Maybe throw a 5-pointed star or arms overhead. And then float your arms by your sides or on your hips. Step or hop your feet together if you'd like to come to the midline before we go to other side. Notice how you're feeling. Might just be nice to gather everything back to the midline before we step back out. When you're ready, we'll step or hop out. And we'll do that whole Trikonasana, Parsvakonasana situation or flow on the left side. So externally rotate the left leg. Right leg is maybe 90 degrees, like a Tadasana leg. Hands onto the hips or hip creases. Ground both legs down, tone belly, and then tuck the left hip under and glide your torso as far forward as you can. So it's just a side bend, and then rise up, and then bend your knee, and again glide. And so go back and forth like that a few times. Straight and glide, hands-free Trikonasana. Keep spinning your heart towards the long side of your mat. Rise up, bend, and glide. And rise up, bend, and glide. Rise up, bend, and glide. Rise up, bend. Or now bend, sorry, now we're bending and gliding. Okay, one more time. Straighten and glide. Rise up, bend, Parsvakonasana, and glide. And then rise up. We'll do this with our hands now. So you can release your arms to shoulder height. Really activate your arms wide to the side. Tuck the left hip under, reach forward. When you can't go anymore, lower the left arm down, right arm to sky. Use the leverage of left arm and leg to get more rotation. Now tone your belly. You're going to draw the tailbone down so that you get the sense that you're connecting tailbone to right heel. Feel that tailbone to heel connection. Nice and stable so that maybe you could extend your arms parallel and breathe. And then with your strong arms and core, rise up wherever you were with your arms, bend the knees, arms at shoulder height once again, and we'll do the side angle. So you could always go into your modified, or the arm could float, other arm to sky. Tailbone to heel, strong back leg, toned belly opening to the side. See where you'd like to stay. Maybe here is fine. Maybe you're coming up, but keep a nice space between your ear and your shoulder. And then maybe you extend your arms. And then with your strong legs, strong core and arms, rise up. Extend your arms if they aren't already. Remain in your warrior legs and reverse your warrior. Maybe lunge a little deeper, reaching your arms to the sky. Good. Nice breath, one more breath, and then rise up, straightening your arms and legs. Hands could float onto your hips. We could heel toe, step or hop, feet back together, Tadasana. Nice work. Okay. So let's go into our standing poses that'll eventually, our balance poses that will eventually take us into a set of warrior one, a little short warrior one segment. So make sure you have enough room to go back. I'm turning sideways on my mat just to face everyone. All right, so here we are into our balance. So let's take our Vrikshasana variation, which is a figure 4, and then we're going to go right into eagle legs. So start with maybe your hands on your hips, and then put the weight into your left leg, get soft on your right leg, cross the right ankle over the left knee, and sit down into your Utkatasana. So you may want to have a wall or support here. Okay, so the ankle is, the foot is flexed, the ankle and the knee are locked, you're sitting into your Utkatasana. Bring your hands to prayer, shifting your weight back on the heel of the left foot, and then use your strong leg to rise up. Keep your leg in figure 4 and extend your arms. And then bend your elbows, squat back down. So we'll do this a few times. And then rising up. And then squatting down. And then rising up. And squatting down and hold here. Hold, 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 hold. Yeah, keep that figure 4 shape. Bend the standing leg as much as you can. Draw your tailbone down so you don't slip into too excessive of a lumbar curve. Draw lower ribs in. Hands at heart height. Maybe press palms away so you're broad across your chest. Good. Now stay here. Sink a little deeper. Last breath or 2. Now, can you lift up a little bit so that you can just let that leg glide right on down and go right into your eagle leg? So you're internally rotating this hip. Maybe you can bend the standing leg a little bit more, whoops, so that you can wrap the foot around the calf. Doesn't matter if you do. Good, and hands can stay at prayer, tailbone's drawing down. Tail to heel connection, still even in this pose. Release your arms to Devayasana if you want, and bring the right elbow under the left and take your eagle arms. You can stay here, drawing tailbone to heel, drawing forearms away, or you can hinge forward and bring elbows to knee. And then we can rise up. And then yogis, release that right leg back behind you into your warrior 1. The heel is lifted, left knee bent, arms unwind up to the sky, Virabhadrasana 1. Whew, good job. Right, so here I am turning sideways now. Nice. Take one more breath here. And then straighten your front leg. Ground your back foot. Even if you step in, we're going to go into pyramid pose. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Interlace your hands, hinge forward, and let the hands rest on the top of the knee. So the back leg grounds, again, heel, tailbone to heel connection, belly toned. Left hip goes back. Use your hands against the leg to lengthen your torso, keeping it at heart height or melting your heart towards your knee, even releasing your hands down to the earth if you like. Good. Now one more balance. So you can release your hands to the earth if they're not already. Hands could frame the foot and you could send the right leg to the sky. Or alternatively, you could still put the weight into the left foot, start to rise up and pick up the right leg into any crane or single leg balance. Something like crane or just hands on the hips and extend the leg. Up to you. But we're in a single leg balance, still on that left leg, really challenging the balance on that one side. Up to you, wherever you want to be. And then wherever you ended up, start to make your way down into your Uttanasana or Tadasana. So if you're in standing split, lower the leg, you take your Uttanasana and then rise up Ardha Uttanasana. You can come up with Utkatasana, strong legs. If you were upright already, just let's all meet in our Tadasana. Good job. And then we'll take that to the other side. So this time, our right leg will ground. We'll bring our hands to hips or prayer. You can bring them right to prayer if that's okay. Or on a support. Cross the left ankle over the right knee and sit down into your Utkatasana leg with figure 4. Left leg. Good. And then we'll flow a little bit to just get into it. So straighten your right leg, keep your left leg in your figure 4 shape, extend your arms. Bend your arms and your standing leg and come into the starting position. And then exhale, rising up, extending. And then bending. Now try this a few times. Each time, maybe going a little deeper into your seat, maybe, recommitting to that external hip rotation, to that outer hip stretch. Last time, and we'll hold here. Breathing. Palms at heart height, you're broad across your collarbones. Now you can lift your chest up, draw your tailbone down, heel to tail connection, and let the left leg glide over the right. Maybe go a little deeper into the pose to see if you can find your eagle leg. Maybe you can get the wrap, maybe not. It's a challenging way to get the wrap I'm finding. Let's see if you can do it. Doesn't matter if you do or not, just find that sort of leg, that internal rotation of your left leg. Keep your hands at prayer on your hips or Devyasana, and then go into Garudasana with the left elbow under the right. And breathe here. Sink a little deeper if you can. Oops. Yeah, go back into it if you come out of it. And then if you want, you can hinge forward, rounding the spine, engaging the core, elbows to knees. Come on, back up. Sink a little deeper. And then weight into right leg, unwind, left leg back, Virabhadrasana 1, release your arms. Oh my goodness, right? I'm going sideways again. Beautiful, and breathe. Tone the belly, tailbone to heel, strong back leg. Lower your hands to your heart or your hips as you straighten your front leg, round your back leg, pyramid pose. I forgot, I like to do the interlace. So we interlace our hands on the knee, sort of an open yoga mudra, so that you can really kind of press against the leg and get more length in your torso. And that might encourage the right hip back, left hip forward, left leg to ground, tail to heel, staying here, headed heart height, or going deeper, up to you. Okay, final balance challenge. So going right into your standing split by lifting left leg, or rising up into some other single leg balance, up to you. And then wherever you ended up, lower down into Uttanasana or rise up into your Utkatasana. We'll all meet in our Tadasana. Good job. Nice work. Let's take a few clearing breaths to integrate all of that work. Big arms wide to the side. Sun breath, arms overhead. And then exhale, turn your palms away. Grounding exhales. Uplifting, inhale. Filling yourself up with that prana. And then exhale, grounding energy. Vapana. And one more time, big inhale. And this time on your exhale, slowly lower your arms. Slowly, slowly, slowly lower your arms down. So let's come all the way down to an upright position. We'll come to seated in an upright position. Okay, a little bit of a challenging core exercise here. So we'll do sort of a little bit of a boat variation. Sort of a higher boat to a lower boat, working with our core. So if this is aggravating at all to your lower back, then just go onto your back and wait. We're going to meet you there in just a few minutes. So very, very short time. So you could I would encourage us to find your pivot point on your sits bone. So I usually come into that prep where we have toes down, heels lifted. So you can find your balance point. Draw the back body in as you lift your front body up. So you're nice and supported and have a flat back, basically. Then can you lift one and then both legs and have a reverse table here? Keep the back lifted. You can hold on to your hamstrings. Maybe we'll do that for starters, or you're ready to extend your arms, you can do that. So you decide, and then keeping the back, straight, your back engaged, heart lifted, maybe extend the legs, lower down a little bit more, and then rise up and bring the legs in, like squeezing them into the belly. And then lower down, your Paripuranavasana, so your back is still lifted, and then squeeze it in. A couple more times like that. Extend and squeeze. Keep engaging the back body, lifting the heart, extend and squeeze. Two more. Extend and squeeze. Last one, we can do it. Extend and squeeze, and then lower your feet down. Maybe give your legs a hug into a seated child's pose. And then we're going to come onto our backs. And so we'll all meet on our backs. You could use your legs as support or hands and elbows on the earth and come onto your back. And surrender here. Maybe draw the low back into the earth so it's really supported here. Good. All right. So let's do some crunches, but we're going to extend our arms this time. So you'll inhale here, palms by your side, or even palms up. I might do palms up, we'll see. Inhale, and on an exhale, lift up and reach your fingers, past your legs, like energetically. And then inhale, lower, and exhale and lift. And then lower and lift. And lower and lift. Lower and lift. Last two. And then lower down and pause and palms down. Maybe even shake your head if that was a lot on your neck. Now we'll do that again, but this time we're going to work our obliques, so the sides of our abdominals, by kind of reaching to the outer foot. So I just adjusted my feet so I might be able to feel my heels. I brought them in, but again, making sure you're aligning your legs in line with your hips. So this time your palms are down, reaching towards your heels. Lift up and then reach towards your right ankle or your foot, and then lower, come back to neutral. You can stay lifted or you can lower down and then reach in the other direction. So you may want to lower in between, or you might want to stay lifted to keep the contraction, and then reach and reach and reach. So if you're lowering in between, you might be going at a little slower pace. That's okay. Reach and reach. Keep the low belly drawing down and really feel like you're working at the sides of your abdominals. Keep going and reach, and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Good. And then lower back down, release your arms, maybe give your head a shake. That's sometimes a lot in the neck to keep it lifted like that. Good. All right, one more. And this will work our whole abdominal wall, and it'll be a little challenging because it's a contralateral type of movement that sometimes can be a little challenging, but don't worry about it, we'll get it. So let's lift our legs to reverse table and arms to sky. Try to keep the knees over the hips as the starting position. Draw your low belly down, good, and then extend your right leg and arm forward as you send your left arm overhead in line with your ear, keeping the left leg where it was. Bring everything back to starting, and then send left leg and arm forward as that right arm comes by the ear, and then back up. And keep going like that. It's almost like you're walking. Keep drawing the low belly in. Lower your legs to a place that you are able to keep the low back, kind of anchored to the earth and not let it excessively arch. So it's a lot of core work. Keep drawing the low ribs down. And here we go for 4. This is our third one, third round. Second round. Last round, each side. Nice work. And then lower your arms, lower your legs. Draw your heels in. Let's do a round of bridging to release the belly. So ground the feet. Maybe you can feel your heels with your hands, palms down. Now we're really going to roll up the spine and keep the low back supported. So press your low back down. So you're tilting your tailbone towards your knees. Draw your inner thighs together. Press your feet into the earth. You can keep your arms down for this first round or two as you lift your hips. And keep the tailbone drawing towards the knees so your low back is really neutral as you rise up, drawing inner thighs toward each other, and then roll down. When your low back comes down, then you could draw your tailbone toward your feet. You don't have to arch, but you can arch if that feels comfortable. All right, here we go again. Press low back down, draw tailbone towards the knees, keeping the pelvis stable as you lift up. So you're not excessively arching here. We're keeping a nice stable low back, really relying on the legs and the inner thighs to lift us up. So keep going a few times. And then if you want, of course, you can add arms, just like we did in our abdominal work. You could send them up towards the sky as you lift. And then when you go to your fullest expression, they maybe are overhead in line with your ears. So maybe try a few more times as a vinyasa, flowing with breath. And this next time, maybe you're going to hold and breathe here. Maybe even bring your arms to Devyasana arms. Grounding the back of the head. Squeezing inner thighs together, drawing tailbone to knees, but keeping that neutral spine, the neutral low back. And then you'll be slowly lower down. Coming to neutral, walk your feet out to the side, to the mat width, that is, and then windshield wipe your legs, letting the knees drop to the right and then to the left. If you want to get your whole rest of your body into it, you can even look over the opposite shoulder. So you can enjoy this sort of rocking sensation, the rotations through the entire spine. And flowing with breath. And then one more round. Coming back through center, pausing here for a moment. And keeping your feet where they are and letting your knees drop together as you internally rotate each half of your pelvis, and notice how that feels in the low back. Hands could stay where they are. They could come and just rest by your sides or on your belly. And then you can let your knees drop hard as you heel toe your feet together, letting feet come together and knees drop hard. Baddha Konasana. Another breath or two here. Stand when you're Draw your knees together and give them a squeeze. Oh, yes. Maybe massaging the low back by circling your knees. Maybe going in the other direction. Knees in towards your chest, giving them a squeeze, maybe letting the knees move independently if that feels nice for you. If you like, you can bring that movement to stillness and find a happy baby. So it's like the bound angle where the knees come apart and the feet come together, the Baddha Konasana. Or you can let your hands come onto your shins or your outsides of your feet and then lift the feet to the sky, pressing the thighs down to either side of your torso. And to keep my hands out of the way, my arms out of the way, I usually bring them between my legs like we did in that crunch movement, and then cross my wrists over my ankles. Even if I'm just only holding on to, they're kind of holding on to the outsides of my feet, whether even if I'm holding my shins, my ankles, or the pinky toe sides of my feet. It just kind of keeps them away, and you can use some arm strength to draw the legs down and get a little bit more of a hip stretch. You can rock and massage the back body. That rocking can be soothing after some of the strong poses we did today. So rocking is very calming and soothing. So enjoy that. And then when you're ready, you could release your legs onto the earth or find any last position that feels serving and loving for you. What do you need right now? But if you're ready to go into your Shavasana, take that final shape, whatever that is. If it's a Baddha Konasana, maybe it's your legs extended with your feet dropping out. Extending your arms, spinning your palms open, squeezing shoulder blades together. And wherever you ended up, take a big inhale now and exhale it out with a sigh. Part your jaw, give it a wiggle. Soften your eyes, maybe even the back of your head. Making sure the back of your head is grounding and your neck is neutral. It's got its natural curve. Inhale and exhale here. Soften your jaw, your eyes. Surrendering the weight of your head, your shoulders, your hips, your legs. Take another big inhale, and on an exhale, sigh it out. And just now surrender completely. You are fully supported by the earth so that you can integrate the practice, restore your vital energy, and absorb the Shanti, the peace of yoga. Find places of healing. Discover people, things, and places that nourish your soul, bring you back to center, and help you heal. Life is not an endurance contest, not anymore. We are not in a race to see how long we can go without, how much we can go without, how much pain we can stay in. Although sometimes we go through dry spells and droughts, we are not cactuses. There are places in each of us that wants to heal, that can heal, that will heal. It's a peaceful place, one of nourishment, replenishment, peace, safety, comfort, and joy. It's a place of love and acceptance. It's a place of forgiveness, honesty, openness, nurturing, and kindness. You can find it quickly if that's what you're seeking. You will recognize it instantly because of how it feels. It will bring you back to center. It will bring you back to calm. It will bring you back to joy. Find places of healing, then go there often. They are yours for the asking, yours for the seeking. Healing places are an important part of the journey. So allow your breath to deepen. Bring movement to fingers and toes. Maybe rotation to wrists and ankles. Sweep your arms overhead. Maybe extend your legs if they're not already. Take a big stretch. And then exhale, release, sweeping your arms by your sides. Give your knees a squeeze. And roll to right side, resting there for a moment. When you're ready, you can use right elbow and left hand to sit up slowly and mindfully, bringing head up last to a comfortable seat. Connecting sits bones to earth, lengthening through crown of head. Drawing hands together at heart center in Anjali Mudra, in gratitude. And then we'll seal our practice by joining our voices in the eternal sound of creation, the sound of Om. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste.